Hello everyone, in this module we are going to learn the customization of the forms, and following are the topics that we are going to discuss. Firstly, we will understand what is backend and frontend. After that we will discuss what is template. Then we will learn to create a template using a simple HTML code and also with the form HTML method APIs. So let's begin by understanding what is backend and frontend. So in the previous modules, we are working on the backend of the Django forms, and backend is simply the server side of the website. Basically, it stores and arranges the data and also make sure everything on the client side of the website works fine. Or in the simple terms, we can say that it is the part of the website that you can't see and interact with. You maybe remember that in the previous modules we are only writing the coding part but don't get any front view of the form. So now we will move one step further and learn to customize the Django form, or we can say that we will learn to work on the front end of the Django form, and the area of the website that a user interacts with directly is called the front end. It is sometimes referred to as an application client side, or it covers everything that users see and interact with, such as button, color, text, style, images, graphs and tables, etc. For the front-end development, languages are used such as HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So with this we get a clear view of what is backend and front-end. So now we will understand what is template. Firstly, I tell you, in Django, to customize the form, we use the important part of the Django MVT structure, which is known as a template. So a template in Django is basically written in HTML, CSS and JavaScript in a .html file. And the main function of this template is to provide a front end and layout of the website. And to process the HTML template, or you can say that to render an HTML template, we have two ways: either by writing a simple HTML code or by using the form API. So firstly we will learn the rendering of a HTML code by using the form HTML method API. And in the form API, to render the HTML form, we use the form template tag of the Django. And the form API also provides us the three methods by using which we automatically render the HTML form. And these methods are as_p, as_table and as_ul. So let's see an example of each method, get the clear concept. So I will show you the example. So here you can see that example, and here I open the views.py file which I told you in the previous module. Here you can see that we renders the HTML files. The first one is forms.html and the second one is index.html. So now we will learn to create these two files in this module. So firstly I will uncomment this unbounded form and also show you the example of unbounded form, how it's look when we execute the code. Here I create a templates folder and I also add the location of this templates folder in the settings.py files. I will show you where I add it. So I open my settings.py file, and here you can see that in the templates under the directories variable I add the name of this folder. So now I open this template folder, and here you can see that I create a file with the names forms.html. So I open this file and I will show you the code. So here I write the HTML code, and inside the body of the HTML code I create a heading and align it to the center, and I pass the heading as a course feedback form. After that I start a form and I pass the method attribute and set its value to post, and I also pass the encrypt type and set it to multipath slash from hyphen data. Then I use the tag that is %c srf_token. This tag is used to prevent a cross-site request forgy attack on your website. And after that I start rendering the form. So in first case I simply use the form tag, and after that I also create a button to submit the form, and then I close this form tag and body tag. Basically this form tag render a simple form automatically as a HTML form without writing a HTML code. So now I run this application by passing a command python manage.py run server and hit enter. So here you can see that when we pass a simple form tag, the forms look like this. So here it will ask you to enter the first name. So I enter the first name as a John. Then it asks for entering the last name. So I enter the last name as a V. Then it asks for entering the email. So here I enter the email as a john@gmail.com. Then it asks for entering the mobile number, so I add a mobile number. Then it asks for choosing a topic. I choose the Django and I add in description as a nice explanation. Then it asks for attachment if we want to attach. So I add a attachment. Then it asks for adding any screenshot. After that it asks for the rating point. So I give rating as a 5.5. Then it asks for entering the date. So I add a date as 2022, month July and date as a 5. Then it asks for entering the place. So I place as a London. Then it asks for are you sure to want to submit this form? I click on this box and click on this submit button. And before submitting this form, I want to tell you one thing. This form is rendered with the help of an unbounded view. So when I click on this submit button, the form gets submit and here you can see that the fields get blank automatically. By which I mean you can't see the pre-filled data now. So with this you can say that if we are working on the unbounded form, we get the blank form. When we click on the submit button, we again get the blank form without any pre-filled data. So now I open my editor again and I will tell you an example with the help of an unbounded data now. So I again comment this. Now I open my terminal again. Now I will show you the example with the help of an bonded data, and this time I am also using the post method for saving this form. Now I open my forms.html file. Now I comment this simple form tag and now I render this form by using the form.as_p tag. So here you can see that I write form.as_p tag in the template is used to actually accessing the string method from the base form class, and this method is used to provide a string representation of an object, and this as_p is used to render this form as a paragraph. So now I again run my application and show you the output. So now you can see that how the forms look when we render this form as a paragraph. It again asks for the first name. So this time I pass the name as a Lisa and the last name as a Jin. Then it asks for entering the email. So I pass the email as lisa@gmail.com. Then I enter the mobile number. Then it asks for choosing a topic. I choose a topic and I pass a description. Then it asks for attaching the file. So I attach both the attachment and the screenshot. Now it's asked for giving the rating. So I give rating as a 2.3. Then it asks for the date. So I pass the date as a 2022 July 5th and place I pass UK and I click on this button and last I click on this submit button. Now it's return an HTTP response. The file is saved. I show you one thing. When I return back, the fields are not erasable. The data remains in the field. So you can say that when we use the bonded form, the data remains in the field. The form is not getted blank, or you will not get the form as a fresh form. So when I refresh this form, then its data erased. And I will show you one thing more. In this media folder you can see that the files which we uploaded are appear there. Now we will move one step further and learn to return the form as a table. For this we use the tag as a form.as_table, and you have to note one more thing. This form tag included in this HTML table tag. So I again execute the program and show you the output. So now you can see that when we render the form as a table, the forms appear like that. So similarly, like the previous form, you have to fill the data and click on this submit button. So now we will move one step further and learn to render the form as a list. For this, you have to call the tag form.as underscore ul, and you have to mention this form tag inside the ul HTML tag. So now I again execute the example, and here you can see that when we render the form as a list, the forms appear like that. You similarly, like the previous form, you have to enter the details and click on this submit button. The form gets saved. I forget to tell you one thing. If we are using the post method in this URL bar or the address bar, you will get the simple URL without any data. So if we are using the post method, you don't get any data in this address bar as a URL. So with this, we have learned form HTML method API. We have also learned how the form look when we use unbounded and bounded view, and with this we have also learned how the URL look when we use the post method. So now we will move one step and learn to render the form by using the simple HTML code. So in the simple HTML code, to render an HTML file, we have to write the code using the attributes and the tag of the HTML. Or in the simple terms, you can say that we don't have to use the form template tag of the Django to render the form. So let's see an example to understand the concept. So this time I use the index.html file which I render in the view. So here you can see that I am using the unbounded form using the get method, and here I render this index.html file. So I create a file with the name index.html inside this templates directory, and I will explain you this code now. So here I start the HTML body, I start the form tag, and I set its method to get, as I am going to show you the use of the get method in HTML. Then I use this CSRF underscore token tag which protects our website from cyber attacks. Then I start a dev class and I set the label as a first name, and here I set the name in the input tag as a first name. This name I get from the forms. So here you can see that here I create a field with the names first name. So I get this first name from here. So it knows that this form have to use this field for this. Then I again create a div class. Then I create a label for the last name, and this time I call the form dot last name tag for fetching the last name from the view, or you can say that the forms.py file. And here you can see in the views.py file I get the first name and the last name field from the form. So after this division tag I create a button to submit this form, and I also use this br tag to add a break line. So now I execute this code and show you the output. So here you can see that this forms look like this if we use the simple HTML code to render the form. So now I have to write the first name, so I add the name as a John, the last name as a Jim, and then I click on this submit button. So here you can see that when I click on this submit button, in the URL address bar, the URL is passed with the first name and the last name. So with this, you have get the idea. When we are using the get method, we pass the data in the address bar as a URLs. And if we are using the post method, we don't get any data in the address bar as a URL. So with this, we have learned to render the form by using the simple HTML code also. So in the end of this module, we have learned to customize the forms, and in the next module, we will learn to apply the validations on the form.